Situated on Namibia's northeast is a region with quaint landscape, wildlife watching spots, game drives, and a mighty river. Named after this mighty river, Zambezi region is a home to over 90,000 inhabitants. Kwe, Mbukushu, Yei, Subia, Mwafwe, Tontela, and Balangwe form the 7 ethnic tribes within the region that has been crafted into 8 constituencies: Kongola, Sibinda, Judea, Liamboloma, Linyati, Kabe North, Kabe South, Katima Rural, and Katima Urban. Education is known to be the greatest weapon that shapes the world. Namibia is one of the few countries to date that provides free education. Thus, education is free for all in Zambezi region.
When I arrived here, that was 2014, I could find my community, they are under or they are not developed. Due to the fact that the school, it was very far. From here, the kids to travel up to Ngonga, it was difficult for the kids. And you could find that during this season, winter season, the kids, they could not perform well because they have to travel a long distance. Therefore, I came up with the ideas of making a school whereby I consulted my community. I wrote the learners which they should come and attend schools here, classes here at my school. And this year we have 77 learners, and we have one class whereby we normally teach on sessions. There is a morning session and afternoon session.
To ensure free flow of education, the government set up various schools with a curriculum which includes early childhood education in rural areas.
Kindergarten tisize chincheho mwa lusese kakuli next na kinda mwa lusese mo. Then fa haitire chincheho eten mwateni kikuli banana kere bato bangata baskolo fa then kuzo hateni lubaluta kuziba kuituta kuikopanya ne babangwiri kuli abakayokala skolo sabona sakamuso baske baba ni savo abafitire mwa grade 0 bakona kuyaba nosi inge kusina bashemi babona inge skata kale project ya makinda banana le bakataza kuya kwa skolo sasa naba yofita bafumana ya banana baba bangwi balira babatakukuta kwa mahaye bayo ina bashemi babona so fa se baziba kuli haba taka kwa skolo twana bakona kusiya bashemi babona batofumana ma friends kwano baba ikopanya ni bona. Then vai tuta likaze swanenge ma activity akuza maisa mibiri yabona lwa bavona eva kuluna ni mwana na is disabled wangano then lwa kona kumuziva through kali tutozelo bafa.
The development consists of 2 classrooms, 2 ablution facilities, a storeroom, and a staff room. The center accommodates 2 teachers and 23 learners.
Skolo sesi mtusiza hulu nasazi vikuvala mazazi asazi vakuvala nizengi chwalo sa talifia kufita valikani bahava vainzi mwahaya vasakeni skolo.
Since 2019, the Zambezi region has observed an increase in the construction of classrooms and hostels to accommodate those living far from such schools. Schools such as Tobias Hainyeko, Sachona, and Doro Memorial had additions made to their classroom and hostel blocks.
We have been looking at ensuring that we expand on accessibility to education. As a region, we recently established and also constructed in those 3 schools, 2 of the schools, we have constructed some classrooms. We have a new school, Alufea, Sampofu Combined School, and as well as Tobias Hainyeko Combined School. These are in Katima Urban. We have also established a new school, which is Kasivi in Primary in Katima Rural. This is to allow access to most of our young learners who are in far distant areas and they cannot access these schools.
We were suffering there in the tent. Or even learners were even throwing some papers and their waste product there in the tent. Here in the tent, when the rain is falling, no teachers can able to enter in the tent because of the rain. Being in a new classroom, we are better. We are learning. And we are able to write the notes together. But there is a challenge of being too close. But even though we are able to learn, we are in our class. We have some resources of the light which provide us for study time.
We had quite a number of learners to also allow them to be closer to the schools, had informal community hostels which were built. Now these were not very safe. These did not also have sanitation. And in some cases, if you go throughout the region, they had younger children. We had children up to the age of about 7 years old being in these informal hostels. Therefore, government, when funding was availed, we have been able to establish about 8 community hostels just to allow our learners to be in safe environments. Now, these safe environments will allow them to be in places where they can study. They have access to at least electricity for their study beyond the normal working times. And then these are parts of, they look very minor, but these are things which also contribute to a conducive environment for learning. A safe environment for any learner would really go a long way to address our performance. We have quite a number of schools which have not been maintained for quite some time. We are happy that some of our old schools, for instance, Kaprivi Senior Secondary School was recently renovated. We had a major renovation which took place, and that is helping. This is one of our biggest hostels in the region.
Dora Memorial Hostel, which is under development, has 2 male and 2 female hostels, each with 10 dormitories, including toilets and showers. Each dormitory consists of 8 learners and 1 matron house. The dining room accommodates up to 320 learners and contains storerooms and a kitchen. It too complements a stage for entertainment activities.
It will really help our marginalized communities also to ensure that the learners from these communities stay in school. That was one of the major issues, that most of our learners, we had high dropouts from our marginalized communities. They could not complete school. So having them stay in a hostel, whether they are fully covered for in terms of feeding, in terms of distance also from their homes to the school, would really assist in impacting positively for educating our marginalized communities.
These capital projects aimed at improving the learning environment for pupils being taught under the tents and mud structures during harsh weather conditions. Naming a few, schools such as Kakiramupepo, Siseme, Ingenda, and Lisikili fall lucky to be graced with ablution facilities improving hygiene on the school grounds.
We received funding and we were able as a region to construct 43 ablution facilities, both in the urban area as well in our rural schools. That has been a major impact, as you would understand that most of our schools had to be out in terms of open defecation, and having sanitation at their schools also allowed them to be within the school premises. When nature calls, you don't need to walk long distances, go out in the communities, and it is also a risk to have our learners roaming the bushes while they are in a school environment. So some would miss quite a lot of time while teaching and learning was taking place just to access sanitation.
Before we had the toilets, learners were suffering, both learners and teachers. We were suffering. We have to go out in the bush. We have to go out in the bush, the nearby bush that you see, the western side. That's where people have to go. And it is very much scary to the young ones because there's full of snakes here. They're full of snakes, so it's very much scary, not only the learners, but even the teachers, because they have to go also deep in the bush, not to be seen by people. Go and hide yourself there in the bush. So it was very difficult.
I've been experiencing a very big problem regarding hygienic. It's not, using a latrine is not too much hygienic. Like, for example, the pre-primary learners are very, very young. So the latrines are not safe for them. Sometimes a kid can fall into the latrine, and before the latrines were constructed, we were using the dig and bury. We used to, when a kid asks for permission, or when a learner asks for permission to go to the toilet in the bush, he has to take a hoe and dig. After digging, then he leave the things and bury them. Then when the latrines were constructed, it was even from west to west now, because the latrines are not safe. They even smell. Like if it's after a week from cleaning, it starts to smell. Then we have to clean again. Plus, when we are cleaning, we are not using we don't have the proper cleaning materials. We might get germs from the latrines, which is not healthy for us. Even the cleaner is not helpful. It's not helpful for him. So when the new toilets were constructed, the flushing toilets were constructed, it's a relief to us, because it's more hygienic. It's clean, no smelling anymore. The pre-primary learners are even safe because it's a flushing toilet. There's no way a learner can fall into the flushing toilet rather than fall into a latrine. So the flushing toilets, it's much healthier. Even when it's to us ladies and the grade 4 learners who are about to mature now to start their MPs, it's safe. Because with the latrines, when a female teacher or a female learner, when it is her math, it's when she goes into the latrine, she is not comfortable. Someone can just come in, because the doors are not safe. For the toilets, the doors are safe. You can lock yourself in there, do all the businesses that you have to do in a very hygienic way. When you come out, you feel comfortable. So the flushing toilets are okay with us. We are safe with them.
With emerging illnesses and continuity of respiratory tract infections, mostly associated with bad smell from the bushes and pit latrines, it has been a barrier to good hygiene and sanitation in rural clinics. Rural areas such as Linyati now have access to clinics with an upgrade of ablution facilities. Residents of areas such as Malenga will soon enjoy health services brought closer to them, as capital projects did not forget to include construction of health facilities in rural areas.
When a person is sick and some of the roads are not very conducive to actually bring a very sick person from far, particularly in the flood-prone areas, we are also happy that government has completed the construction of a clinic at Itomba. This is deep in our flood-prone areas, and a nurse will be posted there very soon to save the communities there, particularly during the time of floods. Most of our communities could not access health services within due time. In the next financial year, which is 2022-2023, we are looking at Muyako. You recall that Muyako Clinic had started and couldn't be completed. However, government is going to be starting with that clinic as well as Linyati. Linyati has already been advertised primary health care, and we will also start with the construction. Now, all these services will really assist our communities. We have had a lot of complaints over the years to ensure that these primary health care facilities are up and running and our communities are able to access their primary health care needs within reasonable distance. Now a maternity waiting shelter, which is about to also is completed and is about to be fully functional. The maternity waiting shelter really addresses those mothers who might require to be nearer the main hospital due to the condition of their pregnancies, or as they are nearing the stage of delivery. The maternity waiting shelter is very near the hospital. It will also help. One of the issues you would know is that I keep emphasizing the flood-prone area, the far Cheto areas, Judea, in constituent Sangwali areas. These are very far areas, and most of our mothers used to struggle to be able to access our main hospital when they are due for delivery. We would also look at some of our citizens who had to cross over to Zambia, those who are, for instance, in Luhonono, Shukman's Bay, to be able to deliver because the other side was nearer than being able to access. So all these issues are being addressed either through ensuring that the road is now accessible to allow them to access health facilities.
Electricity access remains the greatest song thus far for Zambezi region. It is known as an essential driver of socio-economic development worldwide, bringing advantages such as access to studying at night during unruly weathers, access to television and functional network towers, and to stay updated with ongoing events worldwide remains the greatest milestone.
And we are quite happy that most of our citizens have access to electricity. Not only our citizens, but most of our government facilities. It has been a struggle to have clinics, schools being linked up to electricity. Of course, you know that we are moving towards, we have moved already towards the electronic age, and ensuring that our schools have access to this is quite very critical.
The capital projects brought bright lights to villages such as Nfoma and Musanga in Katima Rural. In Kabe South constituency, areas such as Ivilivinzi, Impalila, Kasika, Balasinte, Ibu, all the way to Mahundu have also been powered.
Kono mutuwe kalire ntsene kuwana malaito tubawanto tutubena mubukabo bamanyando. Ngaveza kututolera malaiti tuwana kuti azintu naso twalibwana kuti chitwina hande. Ni mafoni tubasukulu kite hano chitulija jingera munzu bwako jajinga. Ila malaiti bena mafriji yawa kuvika mafriji kosidi buzani bokutatumbata nangani kwine inswi nenyama uvika mwifriji ni menze mchukuhisa unywa menze ya tontola.
Increased scalability of traditional network coverage has been observed in rural areas such as Cheto, Ibu, Impalila, and Balasinte that have had network reception interrupted by bordering countries' networks.
The tower helps us to chat with our relatives who are very far from this place, and the network by those days the network was very poor, but now the network is very good.
Facebook ni WhatsApp etutosa chattinga ni vantu vena kule me chattinga ngani vantu ni ankuru angu wina pa windoku ha WhatsApp umsendinga na mapixi avana vakwe vansezi vena mkulu wangu bonse ni wambanga navo wina kwa farasi.
community tusokupanga Google za chikolo pokumwi network ivanga pua pokumwi ivanga right server za zangana
ndani thogurandako kuna kuningashi niambe kone munyima tho kuningashi panga tukaranga badiko network ira makurando kuningashi tuku yuve muyamba ne badinga ikaranga kothuwana ndani pano keho kushua pano onwa mamwaka ngahatura network kuna kuyuve kakeshi kuna kukuyuva no haende tu hadi kumatunga kayenda owa hadi kupi kuna kumona ke pa Facebook pa WhatsApp kuna kuchata owa hadi no ma smartphone badahana kuninga karo shingo hanyada nyandira kenge mwa mayuwa o kare kushua ke kunga hana tutura network kuna kumona ke ho mauwa makurando kuna kuchinja keho owa hadi kumatunga kayenda kukuwa kuamba nao pa WhatsApp kukumona ngabika yenda kadi omakurando ketu na kumona shiana kuranda ko keone makurando mawana kuya ko badi kenga ngatutanga kakukarakare kera imono shinera irandangi tuwana shemwa kuna kukuvureka kuyuva mambuthi hana kwamba haguva matunga kumona yo heya yo NBC kuna kuimona keho natwe.
So thankful for the tower because now we are able to send messages so fast and make phone calls without any interruption. And we are thankful because we have Wi-Fi now at our clinic, which means we can send reports on our phones when we are comfortable instead of rushing to get transport to go to Katima. Yes, and we are, whenever we need advice, when we are treating patients, it's much easier communication-wise. And also, we are able to access other materials on the internet. So we are very much grateful.
Zambezi region is described as Namibia's gateway to Central Africa, providing road infrastructure that enables Namibia to link most of the landlocked neighboring countries with an outlet to the sea. The region too takes pride of the bitumen roads constructed stretching from Isize to Luhonono.
This area in the flood prone, we have had a potential of boosting our agriculture. The road actually passes near our Kalimbeza farm, which is our rice project, and further down. Now, the potential for agriculture existed in these areas. However, the mere fact that we do not have road infrastructure also poses a problem to allow some of these farmers to easily access the road network and deliver particularly fresh products. And we see this as a major boost in terms of the economy, a major boost in terms of agriculture. We also have plans to, in terms of expanding on some of the gravel roads which have been defined. We have about 3 or 4 gravel roads which are coming in about 5 of our constituencies, which are linking up various constituencies and various areas. Now, these roads are strategically placed to allow shorter access, to allow our citizens to be able to network and be easily than using the longer routes which have been there. We are also happy to see that within our island, which is Impalila, we are starting also with the road infrastructure. One of the major roads, it's one of our tourist areas, and we are hoping that with the road infrastructure which is planned, we will really see a boost in terms of our tourist industry. Again, it's not only for agriculture, but tourism has a major potential in our region. So opening up these roads and accessibility would go a long way.
As Impalila Island is one of the key tourism area in the region, as it houses more than 4 lodges. We look forward that once they've completed with the inroads around Impalila, we will need to proceed the infrastructure from Kasika to Nakabolelwa with the possibility of putting a gravel road But however, we are also optimistic that during the construction of roads around Impalila, the vast area between Nakavolero and Kasika will also be improved as it would serve as a haulage by the contractors.
While such road infrastructures increase import and export beyond the borders of Namibia, they too come in handy to boost the economy and agricultural sector of the region. Zambezi region, with many names such as Sizuma Salicho, is loosely translated as the food basket of Namibia. Making tireless efforts to increase the agricultural sector, the government crafted a program named Constituency Development Fund, the CDF, that aims at funding constituency-based projects.
We actually use funding from our own sources, VAT retains, funds we receive from local authorities. Now, these projects under the Constituency Development Fund are earmarked for all 8 constituencies. And we actually look at supporting communities, individuals who initiate programs which they believe would support them. We do understand that as communities, they also believe there are certain projects which they can do better. We have funded small projects in gardening, projects in water, in sanitation. We have also funded quite a number of some road projects from that funding, where you have cash or food for work projects which have also been funded under constituency. Now, the good thing with constituency development funds is that since they are initiated by communities, they tend to be more sustainable. And we have seen that a lot of communities, particularly women who have been, not that men have not been doing well, who have been in agriculture, have done quite well. And this is in support to the target of ensuring that we have zero hunger, which has been defined. And we believe that if we could progress and have enough funds to really ensure that we go from the level of only supporting primary agriculture, but we go to the level of secondary and we have manufacturing coming in, value addition in some of these things, we will do well as a region.
We need really to derive fund somewhere so that we address issues that are of emergency nature, that are for youth, target nature, that are for genuine economic empowerment.
So eagerly waiting for national government to actually introduce what is also termed the Constituency Development Fund. At this time, we are informed that a bill is underway, under discussion with Parliament, and we hope that with the funding coming and having this formalized, we will have additional funds which will really impact on rural development and in development in general in the region.
As it is known, Zambezi's inhabitants mainly depend on horticulture to make a living. Thus, most CDF projects cover crop and commercial farming.
Different territories fateni fava kensa kuliku samla kwa neruverexa generator nakuli shere nyene rufu mana kiye inyani kona kuli musawo leka fuweru musato panga ze twale fa kwinzi beta vakensa kuli ruverexa solar kona kuli haruli fia huru fokuma kona kufumanyaka 600 maka 600 kani waka verexa fera kwa leba fera ya kusevelisa msevezu wanto kwa magadeni nukuleka twala litoze kona kuli chava soli kuno benefit akiniti kakusina muvona vara vaswe kunaweza kware alufuma na shiri nyumo la visas chava stoeza vaswe kuno fuma tu shiri nyumateni ona momo ni vorera community eza benefiti kakuli muloho sina hava uleka kakuchipa kafuma kuli hava yo uleka kwale kuva yo baba yo leksanga ko ubona hara ku watula twara mo uchipire kuzafate ni famu vona moso kuno pangera fa kuzaka chenu kukarama avani muloho no limu mungata kuna baba leka ne basa kuna mashere ni vakensa covid ye kwa kuruso kuno visa fera va community fera kutoli mange vashimba muloho nke vayocha.
I haven't had any fund for this horticulture. I had the fund from the region for the poultry. I was given 100 chicken. When I sell because they were layers, when I sell the eggs, Then I take the money into the horticulture. That's how I used to do it up to last month, May, when the chicken stopped laying. Otherwise, the community is happy, and the community is being helped with some fresh vegetables, even the fruits. They buy some other fruits from here, the lemons, the mangoes, and then that's how I helped myself with this project. I'm sending lemons to Amta Rundu because people here cannot buy them all. So I have to send some bags of lemons to Rundu Amta. That's why I say that the whole nation, even the tomatoes from last year, I started sending the tomatoes to Amta Rundu, which was helpful for me without a bicycle, without anything. If my fellow women could work jointly, including the youths, I don't think we could suffer in Namibia. Because if we can create jobs as well for those who are not working, even the crime or theft, it would be very less. So I'm urging all the women, no matter the age, as long as you can still walk, please let us work, let us raise, let us see that we are growing up like other countries. That means we can even sustain ourselves in other things, in most of the things. We could not depend on the government. The government cannot just be giving freely of charge. Let us also try to do something to help ourselves. If I can do it, why can't the other woman do it? Jointly we can do, and forward ever. Rome was not built in a day, but will grow up to be a food basket to sustain ourselves.
Kavimba farming is one of the largest fruit farm in the region that focuses on mangoes and lemons.
We normally sell mangoes during rainy season, and the oranges, even though some of the trees are still small, we sell oranges throughout the year. As for the household, we don't buy oranges from the shops because we provide our own. Because we are going to add value to the system that we are using now. We are going to use the water pump that we received from the ministry, drawing water from the wells. We have 2 wells to support the current system that we are using. Our founding president have been saying that Namibia or Zambezi region is a food basket for the whole nation. With this horticulture and fruit farming, definitely if we utilize the resources that we have, the natural resources that we have, especially soil, Namibia is going to be rich, and we will never buy things from outside Namibia.
We are quite happy that we are also seeing a lot of women coming through. Very excited that women are taking up agriculture very seriously, and we have quite a lot of men also who are coming up. And I believe with the discussions we have had, we recently had a discussion with our small-scale farmers. We have had engagements. We have brought in Namibia Agronomic Board to also come and have discussions, the ministry, in terms of how do we improve the quality, the supply. One of the issues which was always being raised, that our supplies have always been seasonal. Only at certain times, when it rains, that's when the supply was there. Now, when we look at local supply, particularly that our Procurement Act is allowing our schools, most of these government facilities to be able to access these products locally. And you only have a local farmer who only supplies seasonally. It was a challenge. And we still had to depend on most of our retailers getting these products from outside. But we have seen a growing trend of farmers also using other irrigation methods and allowing that we're having more production over the year than only having seasonal farmers. Another area which is being looked at is the diversity of the products on offer. You know, previously when you were in a farmer in this region, it was only maize. You know, there was nothing else. But we have seen a serious diversification where most of our farmers are diversifying their products. We have a lot of tomatoes, we have a lot of onions. There's been a discussion now where farmers are looking at ways of also getting potatoes coming in. A lot of these commercial products which are being paid. Even testing, I know last week there was a discussion, and some are even testing on actually seeing whether certain apples can actually grow in the region. So this is an exciting period for farmers. And funding is also availed. There's a lot of expertise also on offer for us to actually build. And we are having quite a number of associations. For instance, the Zambezi Horticulture Production Association coming in to also support and partner with government on ensuring that our local farmers build the capacity. They were also looking from their side as associations, also looking at ways on accessing the markets.
Locals have taken interest in growing the economy through animal farming as well. With a certificate in agronomy, Nyati Lulauli describes the beauty of horticulture and benefits of animal husbandry in the community.
Started just in a small fence. It wasn't yet funded. It was just a small project that I was doing with my late grandmother. And then after is when I started requesting for funds. And then the regional council did fund me. Here I'm just farming with ordinary marathon chicken. Then I was farming with broilers, but I sold all the chicken for now. Now I'm farming just with marathon chicken, village chicken, and ducks. The project did help. It's little bit helping my family because we are selling chickens to the community at a reasonable price. Yes, as you know, here in Ngoma, people they rely on fishing. They do fishing. They do horticulture farming. You know, that's why I came up with this idea of poultry farming, so that they can change their diet. You know, buying eggs and chicken meat. You know.
Economically, fish farming, as we stand today, you go to the riverside, there are no fish anymore because they are not controlled. So if you do a fish farming, you are economically boosting the economy of the country. Definitely in some years to come, tourists might come and have a look at the fish or even do fishing. A fish pond like this is big enough. You cannot just tame fish and just selling. People can come and enjoy themselves by fishing. I would like to urge our Namibians to really help government in doing some projects like this. I'm not saying they should come into fish farming. Each and everyone can operate a project that he or she sees this is what I can do for the nation. Because right now we are exporting everything from South Africa. You go Zambia, everywhere. Why should we export those things if they also do those things with their own hands? Are we not having hands? We have. So we should do the same so that we can supply ourselves.
Back then, in African context, women solely did domestic chores. Today, many venture into farming for food security for their loved ones. Agatha Bakela narrates further.
Wana kutakuti I project eni twahewa njavutokwa kakuli mukatuhalira hana kakwina kukatuwana mashirini mbitena kwena kutatulima tupanga vuti kona heva katulima kakwina chetuwana chwale hanu ani twawana zinempene nuwana kuti chetwina vuhuva vokuti hewa wane problemu owala kuhinda hezi nempene zeni twahewa ukuulisani haike hanu kadeka twini kutanga kuziulisa chinga nitwaziwana hecho nkozisina mani ndiyereza kuva mwivalikani vetu kuva susuwezo kutenze vakumbire maproject kakuli maproject nga vutokwa atuzwisa muvuvota raka pa muvunjewe vona vukatwina mwali kuchuna havusu china vamwe zimwe zikiriti hazizwirire havusu no china hatuizi kuti kana ni kwakahewa kuti twense tuseveze kapa kana ni kwakahewa kuti twense tuikale mu office twali heva twawana I project iswana chena njione ombeta kuitokomera kakuli vuhalo bwetu povulitingite hazintu zokulipangira na maanza yetu tuvene.
Though farming appears to be smooth business operation, often factors such as water supply becomes a hindrance to farmers.
Fensi, plus samende, plus zihala za kusebelesa ukirina mahali ni vatamezi. Kakuti grupu ya hane zingata. Mwa grupu ya hane kuna ni 20,000, 15,000, 10,000. Kona kulilikazana zikopanela meza, sako panela fela mezi za alwana. Kona mwa grupu mani ya 20,000, kona mwa kufumanela kwini. Mwa 15,000, 10,000, mwa 10,000, hane intoli muka. Kona mozieza maazo na mama flowers. Kona kulimezi hani na project yaka nikaizama isatwani. Mahali maboxa avolire ni mavukonelia mangata maboxi. Ni banana baba inyani. Bafumana vitamini ni kuvale baba kula pipi yani kena fafasi.
As the saying goes, water is life. This is a factor government ensures to provide for its citizens. This it does through efforts of providing boreholes for various communities, mostly those far from the river.
We have managed to install more than 80 boreholes throughout the 7 rural constituencies. It has been a major challenge in some areas, for instance in Katima Rural, where we have also tried to drill. Some of the boreholes we have drilled have failed. Particularly there is a belt around Katima Rural constituency starting from Bukalo, going a bit further Muyako, where the water is quite silent and not feasible for human consumption, and in some cases not also feasible for our livestock. So that has been a very challenging in terms of locating water which our citizens can use. But we are happy that through Minister of Agriculture as well, and through the African Development Funding, we will now expand the pending phases for phase 3 and phase 4 of the Katima Mulilo Ngoma pipeline. Now this pipeline goes directly to Ngoma, as well as branches off from Bukalo to Muyako. It will go around up to Isuswa. Now these pipelines are accessing water from the Zambezi up to these areas, allowing most of our communities to have clean drinking water.
Areas such as Malumani, Sangwali, and People Village reap the fruits of access to water. Water pumping stations are critical for the livelihoods and economies of local communities and farmers. In efforts to meet the government halfway, Abel Mazila received a rehabilitation diesel machine to assist his community with local water supply.
Electrical pump, it's good. Kiende kakuli kona kumi supply kaufera mezi kaufera kumurata kule aye kukwansasi chavasamina. Ona boholu ye machine woko na o supply community ya Sangwali ye kaufera. Side ye kaufera. Kona yo supply kona ono ruboni kule no ona boholu ye skero isiere la fera kulu sai isiere la fera lukanyanda hulu mezi.
Mwangala Maureen took an initiative to do tailoring in Katima Rural Constituency. The Blessing African Designs designer tailors various attires, including uniforms for learners in their community.
Zesona kufama community bafuna kuluha ma uniform wasikolo kuli baskeva yo lekran kwa hule baba hulu bala batama dress ma obambo dress nizo nguchwalo niva chechi ka fera kunole baluhera nto ma uniform atoko haraka fera mtu wako na kuyeza nivulera vasali mwana ko yalunzi kuva senda ko yantu mutu kikulu muswaswali sona kuikezeza lika akusako na halafa kulima kweza depend kulima wonzi evo bonalo evo nyezi kapa weza kulifea kutu lika kutangwa ndo kuikataza lutahe lutoeza project yaka ninosikia everybody atavira kutoeza.
Other unique initiatives notable are the printing shop in Kongola constituency, bringing printing services closer to its community.
I started working around, going to schools, doing passport photos and student cards and such. So, and then from there, the need of people, the demand of people increased. So, and then exactly I thought of coming my own place where people could access me easily. Then from there, people demanded copies, typing, printing and stuff. Then from there I started to also acquire printers and stuff. And then my project started from there, even though I was on my own. So I only used the few materials I had for me to go on with my project. And later on, I decided to apply for a project at Zambezi Regional Council. So I've been applying since from 2014 that I came here, but I was not through until last year 2020. That's when I was, my project was approved. And then they bought me some few stuff, printers, 2 copier machine, a camera, a photo printer, and also 3 computers, heavy duty punch and stapler. It made a very huge difference because people only used to make copies in Katima. Everything that has to do with electronic stuff, phones fixed, and everything was done in Katima. So since I came here with just that printing shop, then it ended up for me exercising my other skills, and it has changed a lot of people that if I'll be out of business, then exactly people are going to be affected as much. It's improving in different ways. It can be capital-wise, it can be knowledge-wise, because like when you say my siblings, my cousins, everyone, they were not computer literate, but at least now, most of the time I'll invite someone to come help me, assist me here, and these other 2 kids that I used to work with, even though now recently they just got jobs, so they left me now on my own. Anyhow, my family members used to come here, and then from there I'll teach them how to use computers, but which they couldn't just know it unless maybe if they could attend to another institution, so as such. And at least I can also get something also to feed my family from my business and such.
The service has cut cost for us. During this COVID-19, you know, everyone is trying to save. Right now we are able to save a huge amount. Previously we used to travel, you pay 140 just to go and make a copy only for $2 in Katima. So now it's better, we can scan here, we can email here. So it's like a relief to us. We wish it could be more machines here so that maybe also the number of people can be saved at a speeding time.
Yeah, and also still the services are still cheap, fair. That means just same as Fatima. Like as for now, I did not pay any transport coming here because the distance from my home to here is a walkable distance of 3 kilometers. That I could not decide to walk to Fatima. I have to spend money. So the money that I would have spent to Fatima, I have saved it for the family. That's why I will say I appreciate Geoffrey Mgondo services.
Yeah, we have the Ministry of Youth in the area, but it's not doing enough for us. You go there, you don't find even application for vocational. So it's hard even to get some other services like even these copies. So this gentleman have made it for us, made it easy for us.
For the communities to come with their proposals in relation to the types of projects which they want, so that we can, the councillors are there to take what is coming from the community to the central government. Be it aquaculture, as I've mentioned earlier, so that maybe they can embark upon aquaculture, so that at least even women's, they can group themselves, and the youth, they can group themselves, and then it will be given to the line ministry. If funds are available, then it can be funded.
Kongola and Judea-Leaboloma constituencies are 100 kilometers from Katima Mulilo, which disadvantages the residents from accessing services of the government promptly. In order to bring such services closer to the people, the state made effort to develop sub-offices of Home Affairs and Immigration in Judea-Leaboloma and Kongola respectively. This allows residents to access birth certificate and identification documents at the sub-offices.
In terms of still decentralization and bringing services closer to our people, I'm happy to say government has recently opened sub-offices for civic registrations, for civil registration. We have an office in Linyanti. This office is operating from our Linyanti constituency office, where the officials are based. We have also opened an office in Impalila Island, where this office is operating from the police. And we have also opened an office at Cheto, and this office is operating from a community building. Now, all this is intended to ensure that our citizens get services very close. You can imagine people had to travel more than 200 kilometers just to apply for a birth certificate, apply for an ID, and apply for some of these things. So this is an addressing the challenges and the needs which people have brought.
In the same light, the government ensures that no community falls short of services being brought closer to them. In order to execute such mandates, successful efforts have been made to construct constituency offices for Linyati and Kabe South respectively to ensure service delivery.
We started at, I was recruited, when I started working I was at Sangwali, which was then the Linyanti constituency head office. There we had no telephone calls, no telephone connectivities, and all other issues. We had issues, and the other thing is the constituency was vast. So in 2013 it was demarcated into two, and we transferred, or we came to Likapani. At Kapani we didn't have permanent structures, but the accommodation for members was there. And it was very hot that we needed a lot of other things that needs for human habitation. In fact, then in 2019 we came to Linyanti, which looks to be very beautiful and a very nice place to be, but there's no accommodation again for members. So in everything there is something that is good and there is something that's not good. But that's the best thing of this constituency office is we do have a very big conference room where people can come and then we can sit and have our meetings. And an amphitheater in front of you where a lot of people can come and sit. So it's accommodating. The main aim of regional council was to bring government closer to people, and this office is really answering to that effect.
We are able to deliver service because this facility offers a new state-of-art conference room fitted with the projectors. We have also the outside gallery, which we always give at no cost to surrounding people and line ministries such as education, schools, and also equally the community.
Each office consists of a reception, ablution facilities, staff member offices, a boardroom, and conference facilities, and open plan areas to host outdoor events.
Government's intention is to have centers, one center in each region, which would allow skills development. Now, the center in Zambezi is based in Masokotwani. It has started, although I should admit it has been very slow due to the lack of sufficient funding to fully establish the center. Meaning so far we have a hall which has been established and some kitchen facilities. The fully fledged Rural Development Center will have a workshop, some accommodation facilities, and the center would also deal with issues of skills development in terms of manufacturing, skills development in terms of agriculture. The full completion of this center will really address the rural needs. Now, the center is placed in a rural area where it's easily accessible for some of our youth, not only our youth, but even those who would like to get learning in terms of new technology, which is being introduced in various industries, whether it be in agriculture, whether it also be in the tourism sector in terms of how you are building certain structures. So this is the center which is in Masokotwani. We are hoping over the next few 2 to 3 years we'll get adequate funding so that we can see the fully fledged center being fully completed and it being utilized.
The region has plenty of newly developed infrastructures, including the Ministry of Information and Communication Technologies Regional Office. The office complements the region with a recording and editing studio to promote audio and visual activities in the region. Moreover, the office contains a free internet cafe accessible to the public in order to promote accelerated use and development of ICT in the region.
We are receiving approximately about 72 visitors per month for our internet cafe. That is a good sign that the building is bringing a service to the people. We also have a boardroom with a conference facilities, video conference facilities, which can be used by MICT staff members as well as other OMAs in the region. So all these benefits were not there before the new building came in.
From the elephant fine art to the orange letter graphics, Zambezi Regional Council's building construction has been described as a mesmerizing artwork. It is the first of its kind with 5 floors and an elevator in the region. Staff members no longer need to share offices as there is plenty of office space. The council consists of auditoriums, various boardrooms and conference to accommodate staff during multiple meetings, trainings and workshops, as well as to accommodate other ministries seconded to the council.
We are happy that a lot of our citizens and institutions are able to utilize this office. We have quite a lot of people in demand being able. It is a strategic office. It is an office which also tends to save other institutions, not only our citizens.
During the construction of these projects, several youth got employment, mostly skilled and semi-skilled. We look forward that we are going also to attract more investment in terms of the labor-based, especially the constructions of our roads.
We have got rivers here, the Zambezi River, behind you there. It's flowing, it doesn't get dry. We have got the Kwandu River at Kongola, which Kwandu River pumps up to Linyanti Chove River. And the Zambezi River is pumping Chove to Lake Nyambezi also in the Linyanti River. We have got water, enough water, burdens of water here. But unfortunately, we are not using it. Land is available. When we create green schemes, a number of farms within the Zambezi region, definitely speaking, we could create job opportunities for unemployed women, unemployed youth. A number of youth and women are many in the Zambezi region who are not even employed. So we could create job opportunities should we have more farms in the Zambezi region. Remember, COVID-19 has taught us a lesson to be self-reliant. That is why it is paramount that we should have more green schemes in order to be able to produce maize, vegetables from time to time. Agriculture, that is the only way to go. in any given country in today's world is agriculture. If we could have more farms, those farms could absorb a large number of unemployed youth and women. They could benefit in return.
Agriculture is a significant sector to Zambezi, as it is the main source of food, job creation, and provides a healthy lifestyle. Providing more clinics and evolution facilities alleviates poor sanitation and hygiene. Education is the basic foundation of knowledge for all. Thus, it marries infrastructural development ideas. With plenty of resources and beautiful scenery in Zambezi region, residents have much to be grateful for.